Like I always do say, my dad's one of my greatest teachers. I've met him once. How is someone I've met once one of my greatest teachers? Well, he taught me what it meant not to be a man, what I wouldn't want to find in a partner. My ideas aren't new. The way I'm trying to bring it to, Australia and America is new. So it's almost like we're opening up doors in a way that's truly accessible instead of our traditional way of thinking that just talking it through and rationally talking about it and logically talking about it is going to make the main difference, when most of our actual actions in life are unconscious. It's like if you drove the same way to work every day and then I said all of a sudden you can't go that way, like roadworks hit or whatever, you have to go this way. It feels a bit discombobulating, and it takes time for that to feel like a new normal. Oh, it'll take 5 minutes.
Okay, we've got 8 minutes, so let's
do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so I need you on your back with your head up there.
Dr. Sarah Jane Perri.
Welcome.
That sounds so official, doesn't it? I don't
You've
know.
worked for the doctor, so we might as well mention it.
Yeah, I worked hard for it.
Exactly.
Large heck step for that title.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Where have you come from, and what's a bit of your backstory?
Backstory. I came from a psychology background initially. That's kind of where I was headed. Also fashion. I loved fashion design and was wanting to be a stylist and a buyer at one point, but it just didn't have the meaning that I wanted. It had more the creative outlet, which I love, and the expression, but it didn't quite have the making a difference in the level that I wanted to make a difference. So psychology was kind of where that took me.
Can we reverse the clock?
Even more?
Way more. Let's go.
How old am I?
Let's go. From childhood.
From childhood.
Yeah, let's go childhood.
Yeah, so my childhood was very unique and interesting. Come from a very interesting family tree. So my mum and dad got married prior to me existing, obviously, and then they separated when I was about 1. And so I hadn't met my father again until I was about 31 after that.
Oh, wow.
And so I lived with my mum and then my half-brother and half-sister, who were from my mum's first marriage. But I was always brought up with them like my sister and brother. And we had a bit of a unique kind of, I guess, upbringing. My brother's an artist. My sister is studying to be a psychotherapist and loved photography and art as well. And then I consider myself a bit of an artist. So a bit left of field upbringing. My mum's Dutch, a European. That in itself was an interesting kind of dimension in Australia, and we were obviously the first generation here. And I met my other half sister when I was 21.
Oh wow!
From my dad's first marriage. That's an interesting story too. Actually, my uncle had bowel cancer at the time, and he used to run a business that cleaned aged care homes. And my half sister, who I met when I was 21, was an aged care nurse, and they had become friends, not knowing that it was my uncle and that she was my sister. And she went to visit him in hospital when he was unwell, and my mum was there, and my mum recognised her. So I met her when I was 21, which is like a real level of kind of destiny and kismet in itself. And she's brilliant. She just did the Spinal Energetics course last week, and she's a nurse, a Div 1 nurse as well. And so I guess an unconventional background in terms of, identity and norms of kind of what a particular paternal relationship looks like, a particular what a mother-child relationship looks like. My mum and I were close, but more so as a friendship kind of level rather than a mother-daughter level. There wasn't much rules or things in place in terms of, I could go out at night till like 5 a.m. as long as I told her where I was. So as long as there was honesty, it was allowed. But my sister had a much more different upbringing. It was much more strict for her. So there was a 10 years age gap between us. So I got the better end of the stick, I think. But my mum was a very interesting and unique woman, not very maternal, but a very just unique individual. She always dressed very proper, did her makeup perfectly, like didn't swear. If you swore, like you got in a lot of trouble, elbows off the table. So rules around appearance, but not rules around the ability to find out who you were.
Interesting.
So my mum always said I came out a little different. So she actually gave me that freedom to discover who I was, which is something I think was the best part of my upbringing, if I'm honest.
She allowed you to be.
She allowed me to be me because I think she did try to fight it initially and then just realized it was like hitting her head against a wall and kind of went, she's intelligent enough to figure this out as long as I give her the space to do so. So from a very young age, I felt welcomed to be who I was and learn who I was through my own discovery rather than being told I had to be a certain way.
Yeah.
I was told I was different a lot or didn't particularly fit the mold of what my brother and sister did. But yeah, she let me, try a lot of new things, be curious.
You're a product of your environment, and I feel like when your parents try and overshadow too much, that doesn't allow you to become the truest expression of yourself. So when she's giving you that free reign, it's kind of like you're just being your truest self, not being controlled by an outside source. I think that's
it was the best gift she ever
raise,
gave me in terms of like a mother's love. It wasn't the typical idea of what a mother's love would be, but I think I'm very grateful for. I know I was loved for who I am. And it was true unconditional love. And I think that's really what equates to a parent's love, isn't it? It wasn't controlled love in that aspect. And it allowed us to have a relationship where we actually saw each other for who we were. And although she wasn't the what's the word? The stereotypical mother, she was my mother. And we had a lot of beautiful conversations that I don't know if people get to have with a parent. And yeah, she was very childlike though as well. So I definitely felt that at one point that I was her mother. I felt like I used to give her all the advice and kind of be her caregiver as I got a little bit older. And she was a very, very deep romantic. She was always searching for someone just to truly love her, unfortunately. She'd been married twice, engaged, I think 4 or 5 times throughout her life, just a hopeless romantic. And she's damaged from a really rare brain disease now, and she lives in care full time. But her partner, who she met about 6 months prior to that, still comes and visits her.
Oh, how
so
beautiful.
I think she did eventually find someone to love her unconditionally the way that she had always hoped. But it was always a yearning, deep yearning in her to have a male love her. And I think that went down to her childhood and things like that. And sometimes I see it in myself and I have to be like, take a step back and recognize that behavior isn't necessarily a true sense of self. It's kind of a learnt
Have you
behavior.
Adapted tools along the way to help you break that pattern?
Yeah, like I made a lot of really unnecessary pacts with myself as a child. I was like, I'll never get divorced. I'll never do that. I'm divorced. So I failed in that aspect of that pact that I made with myself. But I had a really beautiful marriage, and I don't have a negative view of marriage, and I'd really like to get married again. And I respect and love my ex-husband very much as an individual and as a person, and I don't regret a minute we spent together. So I think that is a successful marriage in a different way.
I was going to say failure is growth.
Yeah. And we were together for 14 years or something crazy,
Wow.
So,
Any
we still
children?
talk. No, we couldn't have kids. That's one of the reasons we ended up splitting up. We had 5 miscarriages before they realized that my uterus was allergic to his sperm.
Oh, wow.
That's a thing. Can you believe it?
Never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more popular because women are on the contraceptive pill. So it changes your ability to smell someone genetically different to you and the pheromones.
Wow.
And so what happens is you have the same autoimmune genetic compatibility. And so your body treats it like a cancer cell. So that's essentially what's happening. So your options are surrogacy or sperm donor, and both European traditional kind of upbringing. He's very traditional. He was like, I'm not doing sperm donor. It's not genetically mine. I've got different viewpoints to that now, but he was very adamant around that. So we were doing surrogacy, and his sister, who was very kind to us, offered to be our surrogate. The laws of surrogacy in Australia are crazy. It takes about a year to be approved. You have to get personality tests, like some strange stuff, counselling, all sorts of things. And then she got diagnosed with an eye tumour the week before our embryo transfer.
Wow.
So that was a no. And my mum had become very sick suddenly during that time. His dad got cancer, then COVID hit. So there was just a huge amount of grief in a very short amount of time. And the way that we, I guess, processed our grief was very different. What he saw as being strength as a man and holding, you know, a sense of stability, I saw as you weren't in it with me, I was alone. And his pride got in the way. My, I guess, learned escapism came into my dysfunctional patterns. And then unfortunately, sometimes life just works out that way. But spinal energetics didn't exist. So from my divorce, from all that loss, is how spinal energetics came into existence. I had to birth something. I had to create something. I had to create something good out of all the shit that had just recently happened. So there's not an ounce of regret around it. There's sadness to it sometimes, because as you get older, you realize life doesn't always work out the way that maybe you'd hoped it to. But I'm also aware enough that that's a construct. From
an outside perspective, looking at you, it seems like you're exactly where you need to be.
I feel like I am. And so that's a very content feeling. And as soon as I don't feel like I am, I will shift. I've got no fear around that.
And through all that grief, how did spinal energetics come about? Like, how was it birthed from there?
I literally think it was through like the pain of it, like the true blood, sweat, tears of complete hopelessness and complete, like, do I even want to be here anymore? It gave me purpose to want to be involved in the world again to some capacity. And the only way to really do that is to have an ideal that's bigger than yourself, because that's where your sadness really comes, when you really just think about yourself. Like, I was very much like, poor me, why didn't it work out for me? Why do other people get to have children? Why does it, I could have really stayed in that bitterness of it and that sadness of it. And I was there for a bit. I'm not going to deny that I wasn't. But you then have to make a decision. Like, what kind of person do I want to be here? Like, do I want to be someone who's become not a better person? I was a great person before, but a more beautiful person, more nuanced person, more intricate person who can allow these experiences to give back to someone else who's also going through pain. I think a lot of our traditional models, like psychology or like counselling, there's separation, and there's someone who's educated, but there's usually someone in front of you who hasn't really been to that level of pain of recognition as a human being, possibly, that you've been through. And so spinal energetics is that modality that recognizes your true self and the best parts of you in your life, but also the most dysfunctional, the most painful, and the most shameful parts of you as well.
Would you say that the pain brought you to your true purpose?
I think so. Yeah. I think joy can too. But in my life so far, pain has been the main catalyst. And I don't think that's, a unique thing to me. I think a lot of the most successful and truly happy people, and most genuine people who know themselves have had lives that have tested them immensely. And I also have that belief that things happen as they're supposed to. That's a very challenging thing at the time to see. But when you get hindsight, bigger picture vision, and you can look back, I really do believe things have happened as they should. And that's taught me a lot to be a lot more comfortable with things not going the way I want them to go in the current moment. I'm aware that maybe there's something I don't see yet that someone else sees, whether that's God, consciousness, whatever you believe in. There's got to be a bigger plan. It just doesn't make sense if there's not. And if I don't have that belief or attach meaning to that, I would find it hard to live. So maybe that's what it is as well, but I have to do that.
I think we've spoken about exactly what you're talking about in every single podcast.
Oh, really?
Your adversity is what makes you who you are. And I call it a superpower, being in the moment and understanding this will pass. Understanding that I will look back at this present moment and know this was the best thing that ever happened to me. This is what's guiding me, divine intervention. This is what's making me who I need to be. So being in the present moment and maybe going through the adversity and saying, hey, stop for a second. I might not understand it now, but this is what's best. And I will look back 6 months, 2 years, whatever that is, and say, if it wasn't for that moment, I wouldn't be where I am today. And we speak about on honestly every single podcast, and it's beautiful to see.
It's really true. I grew up in quite an atheist household initially. My mum had been brought up very strictly Salvation Army, and there was a lot of her personal pain in her childhood from religion. So we were quite atheist driven until she kind of found Buddhism, which kind of drew me to Buddhist values as well eventually. But now it's not a particular religion or a particular subset. For me now, it's just this idea that there is something greater than yourself. And I think all religions have that in common, no matter whether you're Christian, whether you're Jewish, whatever. They all come down to that there's something in here for your highest good, and they all have values about how to be a person that can participate well in life in terms of treating people how you would like to be treated and being kind and empathetic and loving and doing what's best outside of just yourself. So yeah, like at first I think it's just a concept for many people. The concept is that this will be for my greater good. But once something happens where you have that true like life, like a movie style moment where you look back and you can see the steps and the breadcrumbs that led to this, that, there. A lot of trauma survivors wouldn't change anything that's happened to them in their life because of that greatness that can be on the other side. You can't have complete darkness without complete light. So there has to be that exchange, I believe.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So talk to us about how Spinal Energetics came about.
So coming from, psychology, chiropractic, really interested in the body, really interested in how our life experiences shape us physically as well. So my main interest was how does our emotional health affect our physical health? And I kind of went on the typical spiritual path initially, like yoga and meditation, and like all of us, kind of go down that route at some point. And I'm still very, talk a lot about those things because, again, my life would be very different if I didn't go down that route. And I was searching for something to come home to myself with. Yoga made me connect to something bigger, but myself through posture. Meditation did the same thing, connected me to something bigger than myself, but through stillness. Spinal Energetics is just another tool like that. It connects you to yourself, something bigger than yourself, but in a way that maybe has not been seen so much in our Western society. And you guys were lucky enough to experience, the modality from some of the practitioners. And you would see that they each have their own essence in the way that they express and work with the work. And that's the artistry kind of component. We don't want, 100 billion copies of me out there. We want you to bring your story and your essence through the modality to help co-facilitate an unwinding for someone else to come back to their true self, come back to because trauma is really perception as well. You can have the same thing happen to 3 people and all of us have a different perception. Is this good or is this bad? And the way that we label things changes the way it stores in our system. So if we can change that perception to come to like that hindsight goal, which is like this has happened for a greater purpose, that changes the way the body actually holds that information and it utilizes it as fuel instead of as, something that's taken something from you. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Was there a light bulb moment where you realized, I'm going to perform Spinal Energetics?
No,
was it something that just came about? Is it something that just like developed over time, like through working with?
It's just, it was a long period of self-development at the same time as professional development. And they coincided really beautifully at the time. So, Spinal has aspects of chiro in it, but it also has aspects of Buddhist philosophy in it. It also has aspects of how to kind of be compassionate and empathetic, but it also has aspects of, Ken Wilber's ideas of consciousness. Then it has ideas of like Bessel van der Kolk's idea that the body stores trauma in certain ways. Then it's influenced by EMDR, which is like a psychology, experience where they use, light and ways of changing how the eyes move to change the way that the brain stores trauma. So basically for me, I've done a lot of these modalities as a client, and I've learned a lot of different modalities. And I took from what helped me the most and merged them into one, but not in a mushy kind of way, in a way where it's synthesized, where all the ideas agreed upon, so it could work, that they weren't conflicting with each other anymore. Because otherwise people are like, no, Reiki's better than chiro. No, physio is better than chiro. No, da-da-da-da-da. And it becomes conflictive. So how can we take something that they all agree on and that's beneficial in a way to incorporate it together? So it's not just a purist modality. It's a modality that has literally been synthesized from the greatest ideas of all the different modalities out there currently, as well as my own experiences in life.
And how does it work? Like when you see it online, it looks like magic.
Looks ridiculous, actually. I never would have believed it. So that's why, when people are skeptics and things like that, I understand it. I think it does look sometimes almost performative. It does look fake. It does look like this. So we are actually trying to change the marketing of it a little bit to make it a little less outside of the box for people. But what you are seeing is a genuine response. And I think what was so good about that initially was the polarization. It got you to stop and look. It's very hard to just scroll past it. Like you usually have to, what is this? It's either going to resonate with you or it's not, but it's quite a large response. It's either like, that's bullshit, or that's incredible. I feel like I want to try that. So there's a polarizing, experience for the viewer. But yeah, for me, it's quite simple and it's quite common sense. We're touching areas on the spine that have access to parts of you that are in a defensive mechanism, a protective strategy, and bringing safety to it. That's literally what's happening in our belief system. We don't have science. We don't. Most new modalities don't, so that doesn't bother me saying that. But there's other things out there that you could relate to our modality, like Candace Pert's work, other work in like Donnie Epstein's, findings in network spinal analysis. So there's just different ways that you can apply it. But we do have a PhD going on at the moment for spinal energetics, which is exciting for us.
Sorry, here you go.
You go.
When you touch the spots in the spine, is there a physical reaction that you can feel, or is it based on intuition?
No, so there's a full structured system. So the body is like a full wonderland otherwise. So how do you know where to go and when to go? And there's usually more than one tension pattern. So we have a system that helps us structure what's the priority to go to first. So for example, you could have tension in your neck and your lower back. How do I know which one to go to first? The body will communicate that to me through different tests. So we mix both. We mix a structure, but we also believe that there's an inner knowing that occurs. But unfortunately, because of the way that we've been brought up in the West, a lot of people aren't very much in touch with that currently. And they usually go, oh, I think it's this, and they waste a lot of time not knowing whether it's their intuition or not. So we've got the structure system there as a way to go around that. However, the goal eventually would be that they can build up over time that knowing of what that feels like and where to go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
I saw Jesse yesterday and I had an amazing session, and the first thing he said when I walked in was, we're energetic beings. And he said it in a way where he wasn't sure how we'll take to it. And I said, yes, we are. We're energetic beings. It's science. I understand it. Obviously, he wasn't touching me the whole time, but he was tapped into the energetic field. What is there you've trained him? What is the process of like tapping into the field? So
we've I guess simplified the field itself in a way that someone can learn it from scratch. So we've got certain layers that we teach, and there's resonance in those layers. So we get them to connect to the part that's, I guess, the ease part within the dis-ease, because that's where the intelligence is. So once they connect to that part in the field, maybe it's the emotional layer, maybe it's the spiritual layer, maybe it's a soul layer. Once they connect to that, that's then used as access to help connect you to unwind. From there, we go to the energetic centers as well. So we use the chakras too. We now call them energetic centers because chakras have another, people go, oh, whereas if you say energetic center, there's not so much stigma attached to that. So we're quite careful about the way that we use our language to have people be open or willing to trying. But it was funny because Jesse sent me a text like, who's this guy I'm seeing? Like, what do I like? He was worried. I was like, no, just be yourself.
I think he obviously opened up because the first thing I asked him before he said anything was, "Are you going to tap into my chakras?" so I think he felt pretty comfortable after I asked that question.
And we use the chakras as a momentum. So what are our chakras essentially? The wheels of energy. So we use that as a wheel to momentum that feeling of that movement within your body. But the movement's what gets people. The movement without physically touching is something very far-fetched in our culture. And that's because we believe to make a difference to the physical, I have to touch the physical. But it's quite an old idea that,
If you could explain what's actually happening to a child, to try and explain it in the simplest terms, what would be the way you explained it?
The best way to explain it is almost like an animal having a shake it off response in the wild. Like the animal has something come up that's fearful of, maybe a tiger, who knows, and it will shake in response to let go of that build-up of energy that was created from that fearful situation. What would happen if that animal didn't shake it off? Where would it go? That energy would store in the system. And I think we have restricted ourselves as humans. There's just like social rules, social norms, like sit still, be quiet, da-da-da-da-da. Have you ever watched a kid? Like they can't sit still. They're just running around, moving. If they feel like they want to cry, they cry. Like there's no stability going on there. There's no shame around that. But then as you get older, there's a way to behave as an adult. There's a way to behave as a man. There's a way, like boys don't do that. Girls don't do that. You're good if you do this. So there's this constant reinforcement of how to behave. And as a result, usually that creates a bit of repression. And if you're not dealing with something now and you're dealing with it later, that later is usually in your nervous system and in your physical body, which is why we're having such physical, symptomatologies come up now as, like fibromyalgia, or psychogenic seizures, or headaches, or idiopathic diseases that have no real causation medically. And that causation is usually an emotional, psychological base rather than I fell over and broke my knee and physically hurt it, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, so the emotions develop into the physical body eventually over time because it's stored, and then that creates inflammation, and then it slowly spirals into sickness.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you have an emotion, you don't just think about the emotion, you feel it, but you feel it physically. Like if you're anxious, you might get, butterflies in your stomach, your heart might start pounding. There's a complete correlation from the emotion that you feel to a physical response physiologically. So the fact that we even treat them separately is you can't influence one system without the other. But for us, we're going more the opposite approach. We believe everything happens in the field first and then shows up in the emotional and the physical. So if we can access it through the field, then that's going to have a bit more of a preventative tool as well.
That makes sense.
That's why when some people go through profound experiences in meditation or even yoga, when you have those enlightening moments, they're healing because it's kind of releasing the held up storage of the trauma. And then from there, you don't have the sickness.
Yeah, correct.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, this is like my ideas aren't new. The way I'm trying to bring it to, Australia and America is new. So, if you've even never gone on a Vipassana, which a lot of, Australians have, that was like Buddhist meditation. Goenka kind of talks about it, and you go and you watch these weird sermons and you're in these silent meditations for like 10 days. But how he speaks about it is he calls them sankharas. And what sankharas are basically things that store in your body from the experiences throughout your life. And through meditation, through stillness, you'll notice people start moving like this, or they'll start having emotional responses, or they'll feel the need to do this or that. And that's the body connecting to that part where it knows it needs to shift and move to let it go, so to speak. It's the embodiment of letting go instead of telling you, like, let go. Yeah,
it makes sense. I just remembered when I was in the session with Hilda, like when she touched the spot and I felt the pain, and then she associated it with something. Is that an in the moment thing? Like something that happened in my life that in the moment got stored there?
Like a timeline. Yeah, your body's like a timeline. So for example, you've got grief on your left side in your lung meridian, and that grief is still stored through that system. So I don't know if it's something to do with your mother or what it is, but there's a grief system through that which we can release. So Whether or not that's the priority to shift or not, that's what we have our assessment for. But I'm at the point now where I just feel it through the system. Did you want to feel it kind of shift more physically? It can feel like it's an electrical current through the arm though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be
right.
down.
So you
we
can
can leave it. Do you want to leave it till the end?
Yeah. Do you want to leave it to the end?
Yeah, leave it to the end.
So we'll go through it and we'll do it on both of you, but that's what she was getting at with the lung. So there's other modalities that have information that we utilize, like Chinese medicine. So through here is grief and lung, left side, feminine, women's side.
Being an in the moment thing, you know, you were saying that the animal just shakes it off in the wild. Is there something that we can do in the moment that can just not need us to have like a session of spinal energetics in 10 years?
Well, we're about to release a self-spinal. So you can watch that at home and learn how to just move it and shift it, just like you would like almost like a quick yoga sun salutation kind of thing, but our own version. There's also something called TRE, which is trauma release exercises. And basically you just bring the legs together in a certain way. If you just Google it, you'll see. And it brings on a natural shake it off response in us. And then that can shift that energy instead of letting it store. And again, it's not that it's bad for us. It's not that the body's doing something wrong. It's trying to make you learn from your experience. So it will build up a protective strategy. But where it goes wrong at times, and what I mean by wrong is it's not contextually relevant. So it will start, it's like a smoke alarm, and it will start going off every time you're cooking as opposed to an actual legitimate fire. And then we can become hyper vigilant. Or even in some cases, there is a huge fire and it's not going off. So you become, disassociated and disconnected. So is the response an appropriate contextual response? If not, it's usually because of something you've learned from your past that you've experienced and therefore are not responding in a way like a present moment would. You're responding to it in a way that's an accumulation of everything that's ever happened to you in your past. And we want people to be free of their past.
Cool. Yeah, it's about kind of breaking the neurological pattern, the way the neurons fire, essentially.
We're trying to create like a new pathway. And that can sometimes take a while depending on how long the old pathway's been going there. It's like if you drove the same way to work every day and then I said all of a sudden you can't go that way, like roadworks hit or whatever, you have to go this way. It feels a bit discombobulating and it takes time for that to feel like a new normal. But the brain is pretty smart. It's pretty switched on. It's just trying to keep you safe. So if you give it permission to be safe, it will let go of a lot of the tension that you're holding based upon that notion alone. A lot of it is, our reptilian brain, our brain that's there for survival. It literally can't tell the difference between a text or, an actual life or death situation. So how can we bring context to the system so that you actually have space to respond rather than react? And meditation does the same thing. Yoga can do the same thing as well, but it usually takes a long time and almost a huge dedication of practice to start getting the rewards. Whereas we've tried to make it a little bit more accelerated and efficient within spinal energetics without compromising the stability needed to get to those changes.
I'll speak on my experience yesterday with Jessie just to give some perspective.
Please do.
So laying down, he had the music going and I meditate almost daily. Yeah. It normally takes me about 10 minutes to tap in. I tapped in within the first minute, which was amazing. Yeah. So I was fully tapped in, fully present in the moment, but like lost. I forgot where I was, lost in meditation. My heart rate slowed down completely and I was exactly where I needed to be. And whenever he physically touched, I felt, so he would touch me, in the middle of my back, it would ripple throughout my whole body. So I'd feel that on my feet, I'd feel it on my head, it would ripple my whole body. So every time he touched me, I felt ripples throughout my whole body. Yeah. So I had a beautiful experience. I was, I felt like I released a lot of energy and felt really good. And then it got to maybe like the last 10 minutes and my brain switched on, but in a way where like I was having visuals of like business ideas, content ideas. Like I was like, my brain was like, but I was visually seeing the content. Like I had a content idea and I was almost going to stop him and say, hey, I need to stop. I need to write this down. I need to write this down. So the minute I stopped with him, I was like, I don't know if it's normal, but the last 10 minutes, my brain's been ticking with ideas. And
it is normal because we're putting you in a certain consciousness level where you can think from a pure aspect rather than mentally trying to think of an idea.
Yeah.
So that's what they mean by like flow state, you know, instead of trying to get to a flow state, you actually just drop into that state itself. That's what we're doing. We're trying to change your state of consciousness level.
Yeah.
And I would assume, I don't know, but I'm thinking he would have been working on process A, which is upper neck, and also your chakras up here, which would invite more ideas and more, you know, intuition and forward thinking. So that's one of the fun ones.
Yeah, I got answers to something that I've been looking for 3 years. So I think it was amazing. Yeah, so cool.
The time frame of these sessions is insanity. So what would take years before to work through is now getting worked through in an hour. And that's not in a way where speed is compromising safety. It's not. It's just we're accessing it through a different level of consciousness where time isn't as valid anymore. Just like in meditation, you know, you could be, once you've been doing meditation for a long time, an hour feels like 5 minutes. So you can't actually, even a session, you can't actually get a proper time frame on it. That's why I always run late. So when I'm working on clients, I sometimes run 2 hours, 3 hours late, but I can't tell because I'm up there and I'm just in it and I'm, you know. So that Joe Dispenza talks a lot about, you know, once you hit that level of consciousness, that frame of what would happen in this time frame before can happen in this time frame now. And that's where I think the difference is. And we get compared a lot, like you know, I've had years of therapy in an hour. And psychedelics, you know, they're talking about that more so now, and like MDMA therapy or psilocybin therapy, and there's other options now. And what do? They change your level of consciousness. So it's almost like we're opening up doors in a way that's truly accessible instead of our traditional way of thinking that just talking it through and rationally talking about it and logically talking about it is going to make the main difference, when most of our actual actions in life are unconscious. How can working with the 5% conscious make the changes that we really require? It's the unconscious where it all is. We all know what we should do. It's not enough. Knowledge isn't enough. You have to feel it.
Because you very quickly just go back into your normal operating frequency, really.
Yeah, familiarity is safety. Yeah. So that's what they're going back to, safety.
Also, the psychedelics, they kind of dissolve the ego as well, which then allows the person to tap into states of consciousness that they haven't before.
Yeah, I think this work does the same thing. You guys haven't done level 2 yet, but level 2 is very much based upon that idea. And we don't dissolve the ego entirely, as we need you to have one to function in the 3D. But during that time on the table, it isn't necessary. Because again, what's the ego's job? To keep you safe. And it just wants to know information like, where am I? What am I? Da-da-da. And your ego is usually going to get in the way of your highest, you know, interests, like what's actually optimal for you. The ego can actually restrict you from accessing that out of fear. So
gives you blinkers as well. Like you don't get to see.
Yeah, it's protecting you. It's just trying to keep everything the way it should be. That's what it wants to know. How is it and how should it be? William Whitecloud's work talks a lot about this. I just came back from Africa on a safari of doing his coaching, so it's fresh in my mind. But if you're interested in his idea around that, William Whitecloud's got a lot. And the ego is necessary. We don't want to dissolve it completely, otherwise we'd all end up like Eckhart Tolle, and he's a bit weird, let's be honest. Like he's like, that's weird, Eckhart. Amazing thinker, but he's weird. Yeah. And if you ever hear him speak, brilliant man, but just a bit like, how's he functioning in the 3D? So we want you to have it a little bit so you can function and so you can look after your kids and your wife and all that kind of stuff, pay bills. But we also want you to be aware when you're in your ego space and when you're in your true sense of self space. They're different. Yeah? Yeah. You can't be on your ego at the same time of being in that level of consciousness. It can't coexist.
Yeah. It's about being consciously aware of where you're standing at the present moment and understanding how to, whether you're in ego, whether you're in consciousness, and kind of knowing, in the knowing is the power.
Yeah. And it's probably like how you're getting all those ideas. The ego, the fear was probably getting in the way of those ideas coming naturally to you. It's why people refer to it like a download or blah, blah, blah. Because it starts to feel like that because you've just opened the door where that's stepped out of the way and you've welcomed those ideas to come in. And sometimes we literally just have to get out of the way of ourselves. But again, very rational, makes sense. But how do we actually do that? Well, the spinal energetic session allows that embodiment to actually happen. So instead of trying to let go of something, instead of trying to not be attached, we all know these words and we all know that we shouldn't. But actually doing it, the only thing that really changes that is time. Over time, you learn to let go.
Yeah.
Over time, you learn to unattach, or, you know, that's why they say time heals all wounds. So how about if we change that concept of time? So in that hour, you're getting 10 years of time instead of an hour of time.
Yeah.
That's kind of the concept.
It makes a lot of sense. What happens when you chase after something, it runs away from you. Like, as
like if I started running towards you, you're going to go back.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
You know,
letting go
and
is a
if I go
thing.
and I start going back, you're going to want to chase me a little bit. It's like dating, you know. You never want to date the person that likes you a lot.
Yeah,
it's like,
so true.
It's almost a turn off. Like, why do you like me so much? It's weird. You know,
very true. It's very true.
And it's human nature. If something comes so easily that we don't place value upon it either.
It's very hard to tap into that space, and it's something that I'm still learning today. You know, it's
me too.
Yeah, we all are. But just it's one thing to understand it, and it's another to implement it. But it's something that I work on daily. Just let go of things, let it be.
Yeah.
When it's meant to be, it'll be, and just, you know, don't chase things. I feel like being in the big city and we're all hustling and working, you have to remind yourself.
Yeah.
You have to remind yourself, like, you know.
And it's our culture as well.
Yeah.
Like if you go, like, you know, like I said, I just got back from Africa. There's African time. There is no urgency whatsoever. Almost to the point for the Westerns, it's annoying because you're like, you said you'd be here in 10 minutes. It's an hour later and you're still not here. But they're just like, it's not as much part of their way of being. Whereas for us, like, money's time and da-da-da-da-da, and you're not respectful if you don't come on time and da-da-da-da-da. So we've got a whole lot of different learnings over here. But again, it's we've got a misconception of happiness. We've got a really bad level of happiness in our society. Australia and America do.
Yeah. And
yet we have the most material we've ever had in any generation. And again, it's because we've mistaken materialism as success. Whereas in those cultures, that's not necessarily the success. The success is, you know, how much do you value your grandmother? How much do you value family values? How much do you value God? Like they're very simplified value systems.
We've got it wrong, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're not doing it well.
No.
You know, and that's not to say, like, I'd rather cry in a Porsche than a Datsun. I still would. You know, but, you know, I'm not completely dissolved. Like, I love clothes. I love all sorts of things, but I'm aware of what it is.
Yeah. It's good when you're aware.
I'm aware of what it is.
I feel like when
you're
lost in something, that's when it becomes a problem. But when you're aware of it and you're delving in, you're kind of conscious on the decisions you're making. Yeah. It's a good place to be.
Yeah, and I grew up really poor. So, like, I know life can be very challenging if you don't have that exchange, which is money, like, especially for health things. Like, I remember having to catch the train 2 hours to go see a dentist because my mum couldn't afford the dentist. So I feel very grateful that if I need to go to the dentist, I can call up and exchange for that. But I'm also very well aware that I could have a $10 million house, $2 million car, a golden retriever, the picket fence, and be more miserable than what I am now. It's not going to – it's why famous people end up so, you know, disjointed, some of them, because they had this idea, once I make it to here, once I have this, once I'm idolized by everyone, everything will be okay. And actually, you're not meant to have that much access.
I feel like it can be a bit of a magnifying glass. So if you're a good person and you're grateful naturally and you make money, then it will amplify that. If you're a bad person and you find it hard to be grateful for things, when you have money, it might just amplify that. You might be chasing for more things. You might be a worse person because you got the money. I feel like it just magnifies who you are already. Yeah. I don't think it changes who you are. It'll just make you more of who you are.
It's like when you have children to fix your marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, people think, oh, bring us closer together. There's nothing that's going to bring you further apart than having a child together.
Literally.
You know, if it's it doesn't fix the issues before, it amplifies the issues before.
For sure.
And hopefully, you know, we are in a society now where that's becoming more of a challenge to stay together, which is unfortunate too. But I think that's also our culture now where, there's someone else around the corner. The grass is greener. Where we've got so much access to so many people now as well, which is very challenging. Like I can go on my Instagram right now. I can go on 2 apps right now. I can message anyone instantly. Whereas, in our parents' era, you had to call the home phone or know their address or write a letter. Like the time has changed where we get to have instant dopamine hit and feedback as well. And I think a lot of us are chasing meaningless dopamine hits and becoming very lonely in our own company. And loneliness is a huge, huge issue as well.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think in our parents' days, if something happened, they would have to sit with each other and deal with it and have to continue communicating. They couldn't just go for that cheap dopamine hit.
No, it was only the secretary at work. That was it, and that's like back then, that's where a lot of the affairs happened. It was like the secretary at work or the nanny or whatever. That was the only access they had. Whereas now there's a whole world and it's changed a lot. Like I've got a lot of beautiful male friends and I've seen stuff that they've received and I'm just like, that is crazy. I didn't even know that happened. Like, so the dynamics have changed as well. Women are much more engaging and yeah, I miss that generation because I'm 39. But yeah, it's just an interesting time to be alive. And I think every generation has this where it's like, this is the worst part to be alive. The world's ending. Like you had the Vietnam War in the 70s, all this stuff. And we're no different. It's a very interesting time to be alive. There's some really, it's just very interesting dynamics going on politically around the world. It's just an interesting time to be here.
And it's always been like that. There's always like in Jesus' time, there was the Romans. There's always been someone trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
I also feel like the biggest part of it is perspective. Like I can go a week where I'm like, the world's fucked. This is going on here, this is going on here. And then I have to like, whoa, just slow down. And then I'll just bring myself back to my own bubble. And then I'll just I was in it maybe like 3-4 weeks ago. I was like delving too deep into what was going on. But I can't do anything about it. Like I'm just one human being. The best thing I can do is work on myself and make me a better part of the universe.
Correct.
Not focus on anything else. So I feel like it happens to everyone. Like during COVID, I was like, you get into the trap.
Rabbit hole.
You get into the rabbit hole, you get into the trap. And then it's like, wait a minute. It's like nothing's actually happening. I can just come back to me, come back to God, come back within. And I feel like that's the best place to be. You just want to not focus on the outside world. The best thing you can do for the world is work on yourself.
And that's going to have a ripple effect anyway.
Correct.
I talk about this a lot where there's they sent traditional like transcendental meditators, like really experienced, into high criminal rate areas and the criminal rates go down, but the criminals aren't meditating.
I've heard this
before. So
yeah.
it's that same concept. Like if you are doing what it takes to be a good person within your own life and good whatever, for me that's just a word that's easily to say, but a person that's in line with your own values, there's nothing worse than when you go against your own values in life. That's when your shame and guilt and all of that happens. So for me, that's what I do. And the goal with Spinal, for example, wasn't to change the world. The goal was to change hopefully one person's world. If I've changed one person's world, I've done my job. And again, you have to think a little bit more microly like that because you'll drive yourself insane. Like
For sure.
I also don't watch the news purposely anymore because I'll have a conniption. So I'm very careful about what I'll absorb. And yeah, it's interesting.
Comes down to everything, like what you eat. That's the most physical and the most obvious one that everyone thinks about. But it's also like what you hear, what you see. You're absorbing it all. The music you listen to. You got to filter out, like just like filtering out the bad food. You need to filter out the bad music, the negative. You know, the low vibrational music, and the news is like the most low vibrational thing. Like
I've never felt better after watching the news. Did your parents have the your phone all the time as a kid?
Yeah. If I go to my parents' home and they got the news on,
they still have it.
I have to walk it. No, not often anymore, but every now and again they'll have it on, or they have 60 Minutes or something, and I'm like, I've got to get out of here. It was part of our childhood.
You know, they had the paper. They had to read the paper every Saturday, Sunday with their coffee. They had to put the morning news on. They had to put the evening news on, like around dinner time. It was how but they also trusted the information
system,
that was coming. It was a bit different.
You don't need to know information. That's the thing. Like they think they need to know. You don't need to know. It's not going to change anything in the knowing. I feel like you just.
But is it even like? Do you even know what's actually?
Exactly. You don't even know if it's
we don't
true
even
anyway.
know. So it's chosen. It's a business, like everything. It's chosen. Yeah. So for me, it's just crazy. Different times, different upbringings and around that. But I guess we have so much more information that we can find ourselves that they didn't have. So, we've got a lot more, autonomy around the information we want to look through, almost too much now compared to them. But it's very much, not just diet. It's diet around the people you surround yourself with. Like they say, it really does matter. Like it truly, truly matters. People are contagious in the most beautiful way and the worst ways. So you do have to be selective of who you surround yourself with.
You can feel it if you're tapped in when someone walks into the room and they might have a bit more of a dark energy. You feel it. You can literally feel it. It will change the whole energy of the room. So it definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
That's why I usually sit at home alone with my animals.
I used to say back on the topic of news, I used to say during COVID, I said, imagine if the news was only portraying the good things. Like it's so focused on negative. Imagine it just said, good things happen today. Yeah. Well, the world would be a different place.
The world would be a different place, but people wouldn't watch it. That's the sad part. Yeah, they're very intelligent. Like marketing's very intelligent. They know how to grasp you, and fear is grasping. And how can we make you pay attention to this? By making you fearful.
Yeah, it's true.
So feel good's never done as well. Unfortunately, I'm hoping that would be a change maybe soon. But, magazines, tabloids, gossip, clickbait, social media, majority of it's to make you feel bad about who you are. So you feel the need to require more because more will make you better or more like them. The whole influencer model in itself is I have this brand of shoe. So maybe now you'll want it because you want to be like me because you're inferior to me. So the marketing's very interesting in itself. Most of the world plays upon the fact that we feel insignificant and deficient. So Spinal Energetics was brought about to make you realize how significant you are, how unconditionally loved you are, and how complete you are. Yeah.
And also with the game of life, it's with like any game, the rewards aren't going to be easy to find. So otherwise the game gets boring.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
It's easier to consume than low vibrational stuff. To find the golden egg, you got to go looking for it. You got to work hard for it. You need to, experience different things and go through life. Yeah. And that's sort of I want to circle back to the money and the materialism just quickly, because there's this thing that where we think that being a good person means you can't really make money or buy things, but it's only empty when you're like kind of at service for yourself.
Correct.
But I think we're here to be at service for each other. And as long as you're serving people all day, every day and making money, then no doubt you're going to feel amazing. Yeah. And you're going to put your money to good use as well.
It's a spiritual thing for me as well. And a lot of people are happy for the guy who makes whiskers for your cat to be a billionaire. That's fine. But for me, in a spiritual world where I'm teaching practitioners, which, mind you, cost me a lot of money to learn, educate, to develop myself, all of that, I should be doing it for free because I'm spiritual, and it's non-spiritual if you don't. So there's a little bit more extra pressure in our realm, so to speak, from certain mindsets. But I actually think one of the most spiritual things you can be is to be abundant in your thinking. And the thing that I've enjoyed the most about becoming more abundant as a person is being able to be generous to people I love the most. There's nothing that makes you feel better than being able to look after people you love.
And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
You're serving the people, you're being rewarded, and then you're sharing it, and you're still servicing the people with the money that you've made.
And I do believe, and this is a personal belief system, it doesn't have to be everyone else's, but because it came from such a genuine place to want to help and care for people, I think that's why the reward has been great in terms of how it's been accepted by the public.
Couldn't agree
You know,
more.
I believe that. So now if I woke up tomorrow and didn't want to do spinal anymore, I wouldn't, because I really believe that 100% feeling of love is what creates success. So if I wanted to become, I don't know, a sound engineer tomorrow, and that's what my art was, and that's what I wanted to do, I know I can be successful at it, because that's the key of it, the passion, not to sound like a wanker, but the passion and the love. Where, you know, I did a lot for free initially at the start because it didn't bother me. I didn't even care if I was getting paid or not, because I loved it initially in that way. So what would you do for free? Because there's so much work that I had to do to get the name out there, you know, where I do it not because I was getting something back materialistically, but because I knew it would come back in another way. And then it does usually come back materialistically further down. Like, for example, someone might listen to this podcast. They might come and do my course as a result. You just have to be free with information. And instead of trying to withhold information, which a lot of the wellness community was, like if you found out something that could help someone, you kept it to yourself. You didn't want to share it. Whereas I've always been very generous in my sharing of knowledge, because my goal isn't for me to hold it so I have it and I'm special. My goal so everyone realizes how special they are, and so they can help people too. Yeah.
You found your purpose.
Yeah, definitely.
That's usually one of my podcast questions answered. I usually ask, you know, if money wasn't a thing, what would you be doing? Because that's your purpose.
I'd be doing the exact same thing I'm doing now. Nothing would change. If I won Tax Lotto tomorrow, I'd still be sitting here with you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have slept in a bit more, you know, or go away a bit more, or whatever. Like minute changes.
Yeah. It means you found your purpose, which is beautiful.
Yeah, I feel very lucky. I know not many people get to live that, but I also know many people won't allow themselves to, because they don't believe it's possible. They believe that work is something you do. And not everyone's purpose is in their work, for starters, but they believe, no, you go to work, that's the way it is. You get paid, you're not meant to like it, and then you do what you like outside of that. Like 40 hours a week doing something I hate. There's got to be something more to life than that. And I think that's something our generation has done maybe better than the previous generation, the freedom to work in ways that go with our soul.
The generation before us was also very displaced, because they've all come, if they didn't come, their parents came from a different country.
Correct.
And the land of, you know, fleeing their country for something better. So then when they get here, they're kind of chasing something that they don't even know what they're chasing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fear too, because, you know, my mum, they left Holland after World War II, and, you know, that was a very strange time to be alive as well. And they came here for what? What's the purpose? To always give your kids a better life.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Sure.
Like, all parents have it to a degree. We all want our kids to have a better life than we had. But it's a lot of pressure for the child, and it's a lot of pressure for them. Like, take every opportunity you can, you know.
But also, it is just because we've gone through tribes and tribulations, it doesn't mean that it isn't a better life. The tribes and tribulations are part of the now better life. It is.
Yeah.
And then our kids will have, it's us and then our offspring. They've like broken the chain of whatever was so bad from where they were, you know?
Yeah. And I think we really have done that as a generation. We're very conscious about, you know, generational trauma and what's us, what isn't us, what have we been taught, what's been passed down to us. And we are, you know, we usually have a story that our dad didn't cry or did this, or our mum used to do this. And that has taught us about what we don't want to do as well. And that's a very important teacher too. Like, I always do say my dad's one of my greatest teachers. I've met him once. How is someone I've met once one of my greatest teachers? Well, he taught me what it meant not to be a man. What I wouldn't want to find in a partner. What I wouldn't want to find in the father of my child. I think that's why I haven't had children as well. I'm very particular about who that person would be, because I don't want that child to ever feel like they weren't loved or wanted, which I spent a lot of my life feeling. Now I get it a bit more. But as a child, it's very hard to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
the psychologist Gabor Mate talks about it a lot because he was abandoned when he was a child, but for the right reasons. But as a child, you don't know how to differentiate, what's going on. You just sense abandonment, and it's abandonment, and that could be bottled up for 50, 60 years.
He's had a very interesting life.
Yeah.
A very hard life too. You can see it in his face. You can,
but that now gives him the wisdom to help so many people with their traumas.
Huge. Like his book, The Myth of Normals, has been very eye-opening for our generation.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot about how you interact with life and how that can make you sick, which wasn't really spoken of before from traditional psychiatrists.
Yeah.
So I really admire the new thinking he's bringing to it.
Yeah. It all stems to like your state of operation. You're operating, and it's just like being able to be in like a calm central nervous system state allows you to serve yourself and serve others. Whereas if you're riddled with anxiety, like how can you help anyone? You're the one that needs the help. So
nervous system regulation is like a huge thing now too. People are starting to understand what the nervous system is, what role it plays, parasympathetic, sympathetic, fight or flight. And the nervous system really is a reflection of your experiences in life. If you're in fight or flight, it's because you've had so many experiences in your life where you've either had to come up against something or flee from something. So again, it's not wrong, but how can we create a nervous system that's working with you rather than feeling like you're constantly reacting to the world in a way you don't even want to. Like I'm sure you felt that before. I've done it before too, where I'll have a bit of a stompy, I call it, where I'll just have a bit of an aggression attack about something ridiculous. And then after I'm like, oh my God, why did I even do that? But it's like something takes over me.
Yeah.
There's a lot less of that now. That's the whole purpose of this work, but I'm not perfect either. But A, I can recognize it. B, it happens a lot less. C, I don't have the shame cycle that I used to have if I do make the mistake and do fall into that pattern because I understand it. But D, what's more important is now I get to choose how I interact with my life rather than feeling hijacked from this pain that I've had in my life responding for me, which isn't even me.
Yeah.
I
feel like perspective plays a big part. And I had a situation yesterday. So my partner was stressing out, like full stressing out. She's like, she has a studio, and she's like, my landlord wants to sell the studio. I'm not going to have a studio. And she was a mess. She was just like so stressed out. And I said, oh, congratulations. I completely shifted the story. I said, congratulations. She's like, what do you mean congratulations? I pay good rent. I don't want to. I'm like, congratulations, you're going to have a new shop. I said, what a blessing. We get to do a new fit out. You're going to have a new space, new energy, new clients, new content. I said, this is beautiful. And it's like that. She shifted. She was like, I shocked her. She was like, I didn't think of it like that. I'm like, congratulations, this is beautiful. And like that perspective, I shifted and her body relaxed, her mind relaxed, everything changed. It all completely shifted. So I feel like perspective and self-perspective too plays a massive part in regulation, not just meditation, yoga, movement. I feel like your brain is the number one thing to shift your fight or flight system.
It's the moment to be able to shift it from the pattern that wants to come that makes it a negative into seeing a larger picture, because we become so singular. Larger picture, is this really a bad or good? And that's the other thing our ego wants to do, wants to label something as good or bad.
Exactly.
But it's like when you're little and if a kid falls over, you don't want to go, oh no, are you okay? What do you want to do? You want to go, yay, up you get. You want to encourage them that the falling is just part of it and no big deal. And your perspective is a really valuable one because, again, in hindsight, I can guarantee you there'll be something where she looks back and goes, how good was that move and how did we get to do that? Now, life's not perfect. Not everything's going to work out perfectly, but it's not meant to. And again, it's that idea of feeling like we've got control of everything. We've got control of nothing. And the only thing that I can promise you that will happen is that everything will change. So even the studio here, it's going to change. Where I am in Richmond, probably going to change. The way I look, change. your relationship change. There's nothing that's ever going to be constant. And we like that when we want to change something. But when it's a change that we didn't choose, that's when we can spiral into this thing. And so your perspective was make it a choice in the sense of how this could be even better.
Okay. I said to her, are you going to picture yourself in your new shop? Are you then going to be thinking about your old shop? No, you're going to be like, oh, look at my new shop. This is amazing. You know, like the last thing she's going to think about was your old shop. And then after that, she's like completely.
We're such weird little creatures, don't you think? I think humans are so weird. I just think we're interesting. And, you know, her feelings are 100% valid, but then in big scale of things.
Yeah, it's.
You know, we really do stress ourselves out over things that are quite easily changed at times. But yeah, it was the unexpected.
Yeah, correct.
But life is unexpected. And if anything, something that I'm working on currently is like at the moment I'm in a good spot and it's scaring the shit out of me because I know that something's going to change.
I said this in the last podcast. It's this too shall pass. And people normally associate it with the negative, but I purposely, consciously associate it with the positive because it's like, oh, I'm in a good place. Okay, let's be present. Let's enjoy it. Let's be here right now. Let's really delve into the good and utilize it. If I'm in a flow state and everything's happening for me, do more because it's like now's the time.
Yeah.
And so this too shall pass, understanding that not only the bad will pass, but the good will pass too.
Everything.
Yeah. So it's being in the
Absolutely
moment.
everything will pass.
Correct.
And like even if you're like, I learned it from my mum being sick as well. Like every day I still get sad about it. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to underpin it. Like there's a part of me that will never be the same.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that no longer is so consumed by it.
Yeah.
And understands like everyone loses their mum at some point in some way. I think the first thing was the lack of fairness and the way you respond is very much on value. My mum was a good person, so I didn't understand why she had something bad happen to her because my life was very much if you're good, good happen. Bad happen. And then I learned that's not always the way. And even Gabor Mate talks about it where, you know, normally good people get sick earlier. And the reason they get sick earlier is because they put themselves last and do everything for everyone else. And so even our sicknesses and our illnesses relates to how we're interacting with the world and are we selling our own soul to please everyone else? And there's studies currently out, which I'm interested in to a degree, which is single women live longer than married men.
Single women live longer than married men.
Yes. So you'll live longer if you're married and I'll die sooner if I'm married.
Okay, there you go.
Right. And the reason being is the role that the woman plays. Like you'll have someone look after you, like in a certain way. But for us, you're another responsibility. All right. And we forgo a lot of ourselves to prop you up. And men do too, but at the end of the day, your life doesn't change that dramatically. Like your job's to protect, and that's a very important job, but also the way that men are kind of changing to be less menly is altering the happiness level even in relationships. So you're more likely to have a happier, longer life if you're married, and a woman's likelier to be sadder and to die sooner. So how can we work on that where there's a team involvement where women aren't forsaking themselves to please everyone and detrimental to their health too?
Can we?
I think we can, yeah.
I always say that, you know, when the mother is so invested, and I think it's a beautiful thing, and it ebbs and flows. There's times where you need to be full invested, and there's times where you can, you know, take a small step back. I'm a true believer that the best way you can look after your kids is looking after yourself.
You have to.
And no mother sees it like that.
No.
They say, no, but then you're running yourself to the ground. You're now not presenting the best self to your daughter. You're now, and I say that I would rather give my daughter 1 hour of me in the best energy than 10 hours of me scrambling, stress from work. She doesn't get me. She does not even getting me. She's getting nothing.
Yeah,
she's just getting me stressing on my phone. There's no quality time. I get 1 hour when I'm in a good vibration. 1 hour with my daughter is like 20 days. Like it's
and all kids say
that. Thing. Yeah,
kids say it's the quality that they got to spend with their parent rather than the quantity. It's what they remember of the interaction. How 100%. Present are you when you're there? And it's troublesome in our society with females too, because we wear it as a badge of honor. The less we've looked after ourselves, the more selfless we are, and the better mother we are, or the better wife we are. And so I think that's something that women need to kind of look at as well in terms of our worth scale.
Definitely.
And so that's something I'm kind of interested in at the moment in terms of the science that's coming out in regards to that, and how we live and how we interact with life, the choices we have actually affect your life cycle. And another thing, when we were talking about the money before, I forgot to mention, one of the biggest predictors of your future success financially is the postcode you grew up in.
Wow.
And so if you were from a lower socioeconomical postcode, it's less likely that you will ever outgrow that system. And it's not the postcode's fault. It's the mental learnings and the perceptions you learn about money in that postcode, and the opportunities that come from having a mindset like that.
In your opinion, what would be the best way to break through that?
Move. Move. So I was really lucky. My ex-husband came from a different financial background to me. And it was really interesting to see how the way that they lived, and not from what they had, but just mentally the way that they looked at things and the way they spoke. Like for me, my mum would say things like, money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. Other parents can do that because there's two parents. I'm a single parent. It was always around money, not having enough. His parents never said anything like that. And it's not like they were fully loaded or whatever, but they had a different relationship with money. And that taught me to have a different relationship with money. And I do believe is one of the reasons why I was able to change, that postcode prediction, because I had exposure to a different way of interaction and a different relationship with it. So you need to have exposure, whether that's listening to Tony Robbins on your podcast, or whether it's listening to Joe Dispenza or Joe Rogan or whomever. There's so much more information now to get different mindset and different perception outside of what's been so ingrained in terms of how you were brought up.
I've seen that a lot. I've seen a lot of people dating, and they'll date someone would be of the lower class, and someone and you see if they do break up, you do see which partner become more successful after the relationship.
Yes.
And I've consciously made note of that, because I've physically seen it. I was like, wow, I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but I've paid attention to that circumstance so many times and seen it happen like a pattern every single time.
I've seen it happen a lot too.
Which is amazing.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
And then you see the other pattern of the people who all still live in the same area where you grew up. So, the people from high school who still live 10 minutes within that vicinity.
True. Yeah,
there's usually about 80% of them, I'd say, that all still live within that 10-minute drive of that vicinity. Maybe they married their high school sweetheart. They've been at the same job locally for 10 years. It's not that that's bad, but it's a different life to what I would have wanted for myself. It's very a product of your environment.
Yeah, nothing's bad or good as long as they're happy.
It's only bad if you're living in a bad postcode.
It's just interesting because, it's not the postcode.
No.
Yeah.
It's the perceptions, and it's what you've been exposed to during that. And it just, that's why I think travel is such an important part if you ever can. Obviously you need to save up for some people, but traveling is really important. I went on a credit card to my first overseas trip, which isn't advised, but I just knew it was something I had to do. And once you get exposure to different cultures, different way of living, it took me 10 years to pay off that debt, by the way. So do not get a credit card if you're listening. It teaches you more about the world, teaches you what's possible, the worst ways to the best ways. I've gone to India where there's no toilets, no hot water, no nothing. And when I come back, I just, I'm so grateful for what I do have. And then I've been to more affluent places where I'm like, wow, that's something to aspire to as well. And so it's so important to keep growing as a person, I think.
Yeah, no man is your friend, no man is your enemy, but every man is your teacher. And that quote, when you look at it in depth, you can only gain wisdom from interactions with every single human. So putting yourself out there, different countries, different experiences, you're able to take in other people's experiences.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even reading someone's biography, all these things. And once you can open your mind to new perspectives, new wisdom, then, you know, the path to growth is massive.
And it can fast track your own learning by reading other people's biographies or seeing what they did and learning from it. So you don't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unfortunately, we're a bit stupid and we have to do it ourselves usually and make a mistake anyway. But there's nothing more nostalgically beautiful than someone giving you advice from something that they've lived before.
Yeah.
They're doing it from a pure place of like learn from my existence, you know.
I heard a quote yesterday that a smart person is someone who learns from their own mistakes. A wise person is someone who learns from other people's mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I
That
thought
makes
was
sense.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I don't know why we feel like we have to do it ourselves sometimes, but we
sometimes you have to.
Sometimes you've really got to learn, and maybe a couple of times. You know, sometimes once isn't enough. But again, it's part of the journey. Like I when I leave this place, I want to look back going, I did a lot of things. You know, I tried a lot of things. You know, like if I died next week, I'm pretty happy with the life I've lived.
Good. It's a good place to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's one of the biggest things you're working on at the moment?
I'm in a bit of a fork in the roads at the moment in my life. So personally, I'm trying to figure out, like, do I have a child on my own? Do I not?
Oh.
Do I wait to meet someone? Do I not? What do I want to do? I'm 40 next year. That sounds really old. So just
40
a lot
is the new 20.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling myself as well.
It's interesting because you earlier said that you're not sure if you want to have a kid because
I know.
for the whole father situation.
I know.
And now you're considering having a kid
on my
your
own. But I'll tell you what the difference is. So this is what's interesting. If it's sperm donor, for example, the child hasn't been abandoned. The child's been loved so much to be created.
Yeah.
So that's the story.
That's a good perspective.
Whereas, say I got pregnant with someone and they weren't excited about it and they weren't wanting of it, that would be very much a challenging situation for me.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
Also, like, I don't know. Am I going to find something? I don't know. Like, we don't know.
Are you chasing it?
I wouldn't say I'm chasing it, but I definitely have felt more 10 years ago, this would not be something, well, I was married then anyway, but this would not be something that would be on my
bingo cards.
Yeah. Unfortunately, women have biological clocks, which is very frustrating because let's say I could have children till I was 60.
Yeah.
I would not be considering this right now.
Do you feel like there's some energy there that maybe needs to let go of? Like,
what do you think?
Yeah.
There's a lot because rationally I understand children don't make or break your happiness as a person on this life. There's other ways to parent kids and to give love to kids. But there's also a fear like, what if I can't do what I want to do when I want to do it? Am I trapped if I have a child? There's also experiences from my own childhood where my mum would say, never have kids, don't ever have kids. Like,
I feel like there's a really good meditation for you to be
okay, can you send it to me?
Yeah, I can.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of layers and I'm trying to just figure out like what part of it is me, what part of it has been nurtured into me, what part of it, like I don't want to regret anything. That's the worst. Like regret's a deeply effective emotion in a way that will haunt you. So
I think like judging by the person that you are and knowing the, you know, growth comes from the moments and whatever else, I don't think you're going to regret something. Like regret's
it's a big word.
It's a big word. Like, do you think like whether you either way that you went, and they're big decisions.
Yes, it's this massive fork. But I do like again coming back to that trust. I do trust that when I feel it, I can't feel it yet. That's the frustrating part for me. And the reason I can't feel it yet is because there's a lot of attachments to the outcome. But I feel like once I actually get the information that I know will come at some point, I will be at peace with regardless whatever my decision is.
Yeah.
But it hasn't come yet.
I feel like if you're going to the supermarket and it closes in 5 minutes, you're going to rush there and you're kind of like, oh, you're frantically like, I've got to get there.
I've got to get the rice.
And I feel like if you just like let go of the timeline and just.
Can you communicate that to my eggs?
I know. But I feel no, but it's a perspective thing.
I know, because
it's a perspective.
I sometimes think I know too much, right? Yeah. There's cultures like tribes in like the Amazon and things like that where they don't understand that you're not like your eggs go as you get older, and they're having kids in ages that you wouldn't even think you would be able to have children in.
Yeah.
And why is that? They've never been exposed to this concept. By the time you're this age, you're da-da-da.
But they also live a very different lifestyle. They're grounded. They're connected to the earth a lot more than we are. They're getting morning and afternoon sunlight.
They're doing life right.
I heard that if you don't not celebrate birthdays, but if you kind of don't know how old you are and you don't celebrate birthdays, you actually age slower.
We should do that.
Yeah, I think I've tried to do it. I'm like, I don't want a birthday cake.
But that makes sense though, doesn't it? Because again, it's this mental. Again, 40s. I feel so lucky to live till I'm 40. But then there's the other part where you, as a female, like you're worse as you get older. I know that's not true rationally, but it's amazing the programming that's still gone on. As someone who's quite open and I would say quite deep in my connection to the world, that even for me sometimes these surface level things will, come in and just be like, so that's what I'm working on currently. I'm not going to rush to the supermarket though.
It's not about not rushing. It's about not feeling rushed.
Not feeling rushed.
Not feeling rushed.
Is the market still closing though?
Yeah, well, it's closing, but wait, you think it's closing at 7 o'clock,
but maybe
it's actually closing at 10 o'clock.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Yeah. It's just funny. Like, and if you had told me that I'd ever be a female who'd care about stuff like that, I never would have believed you. So I don't know. I honestly think there's something biologically that just goes in your brain as a female and it's like, you're meant to have a child now. It's very weird. I'd like to look into it, but that's where I'm at.
I think also just the this is your test, like the golden egg that we were talking about earlier, like it's kind of like it's the storyline. Yeah. It's where you've come from, the childhood.
I know.
All of that. So it makes so much sense. Like, I don't know, but I just think like have faith in the process and be as calm, and it's all about that central nervous system.
I'm going to plant this seed in the next 2 I can see it. I've seen it. I'm a fortune teller. Okay. In the next 2 years, you're going to have a kid. I've planted the seed.
Can you make it be a girl?
I can't make it be a girl. All I can see is in the next 2 years, you're going to remember this conversation in 2 years' time.
It, and I'm going to send you a photo of us.
In 2 years' time, you're going to have a kid.
Thank you. I feel a lot better.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, look, I don't bloody know. But everyone has something at some point in time in their life. And this is my something currently. And that's how you know you're living. The only time you're never going to have something to work on, you're dead. So it's the exchange you take. And like sometimes I think it's important to not take everything so seriously as well, because I will be okay either way. And if there's one thing I can do in my life, it's enjoy it regardless of circumstance. So again, the rationale is there. Yeah. Now we just got it. Maybe I need a spinal energetics session.
How long do we need? How long do we need to do our session?
It'll take 5 minutes.
Okay, we've got 8 minutes. So let's do
you want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I need you on your back with your head up there.
At the same time?
No, I'm going to do him first and then you.
Perfect. All right. Done.
I just want you to feel grandmother grief. What's your background? Okay. He's going to bed. Oh, he's rolling up. It's like a reel now on Instagram has to be like 2 seconds to get your attention. We have to be quicker with getting into your field.
Yeah. I feel like I'm in a different room right now.
Yeah. Completely changes your like physiology.
Yeah.
Within.
Yeah.
Everything looks
perspective changes.
Too.
Sorry, perspective changes.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
My experience with Hilda was very different to Paul's. I found myself where I went deep, like I blanked out, but like deeper than I've ever gone in such a short period of time. So once I came back, I was like, just like fatigued, but just, I don't even know where I went. You know, I lost consciousness.
You went into the nothingness.
Yeah. But ultra deep. Like I meditate, I yoga, I do a lot of these things, and I've never gone that, you know, just.
Yeah. And every experience is different. They're different with each practitioner.
Yeah.
Because it's her essence. So your resonance will change based on the person interacting with you as well. But also the layer that they're working with. So your next session might be completely different. Your next session might be completely different. And we like that because it keeps it novel for the body. You can never predict what's going to come up on the table for you, which is what I love about it.
How often should we be having a session?
It's really up to the individual.
Yeah.
It's like now that you've had this feeling, you'll know when it's almost like you need a top up. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So we let people decide their own scheduling. Because otherwise I'm putting myself in a position where I'm telling you what's best for you.
Yeah.
And I want you to feel the feeling you're feeling now, feel when it feels like it's almost wearing off. And that's when you'd go for your next session. But it's not as frequent as like a normal chiro, for example. Some people I see once a year, sometimes every 6 months. Others, if they're going through a challenging time like a divorce or whatever, maybe more frequent.
Yeah.
Do you still practice any of your older modalities like chiropractic and?
Yeah, sometimes. Yep. Yeah, only if I feel like, again, it will connect someone who needs more of a physical response to connect down into more the subtle layers.
Okay.
So for you guys, you've meditated for a while, you've got experience with that subtle feeling. For someone who doesn't, sometimes you need to be a little bit more physical initially for them to have something tangible from the experience.
No, it makes a lot of
there's
sense.
no way anyone who ever experienced that can say they didn't feel the feeling of energy moving through their arm.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So it almost transitions non-believers into believers as well because it's electrical. So all of a sudden it reaffirms this idea that, hey, I am an electrical being. This is energetics. It's not woo-woo energetics. We are all energy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I thought I lost my arm for a second.
It's broken. No. It's actually not much of a pull. It's a finesse into the meridian, the energetic line through the arm. And it feels like quite a yank, but I have to kind of stretch it to get the
I feel really good now.
to get the feeling. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
being
much.
here.
Thanks, guys.
It's honestly been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Your amazing generosity and
That's been great.
thank you.
Thank you.
We want everyone to experience it. So amazing.
Thank you.
Thank
God
you so
bless.
much. God bless you.
Thank you. I need that. Thank you. I'll take the God blessing.